Greetings, precious friends. I got my camera all set up really fiddly for this, so excuse me for not showing my face, but yeah, I'm not moving anything at this point. So I promised you I'd show you how to break down my absolute favorite fruit of all time, pomelo. I know a lot of you probably don't do fruit. Some of you may do fruit. I don't very often do fruit, but this is one that I will make the effort for. They come out in the wintertime. Most of them come from California. I come from California myself. I became familiar with them there. They've only been grown commercially for probably about the last 15 years or so. And I'm hoping that they'll start growing them in more in Florida, so they'll be easier to come by. But they only come out in the wintertime, which is different than a lot of other fruits. But they are only available for about 4 months, 5 months in the wintertime. So I make a point to have a few. I maybe have 3, maybe 4 of them a year. And interesting thing about them is this gigantic thing, the fruit that's inside it is probably smaller than my fist. So the rest of this is rind, which we're going to get rid of because it's completely inedible. So let's get started. See how much I'm going to cut off here? And this may not even get down to the meat. Nope, just barely. See how thick that is? That's all rind. Pith, and you can't eat the pith. It is absolutely disgustingly bitter. And the other thing that you can't eat is the membrane. On an orange or a lemon or a lime, generally, the membrane that separates all the little sections is tender and edible. On these things, it's like plastic, plus the fact that it tastes terrible. So you absolutely have to completely clean these things to eat them. But it's so worth the effort. So the next thing you do is you just start trimming off the thick pith as much as you can. And yeah, you do need to cut all the way down till you intersect the flesh. Because like I said, none of this connective tissue is edible. Just none of it, really. It's either bitter or impossible to chew. This fruit is actually a precursor. This one's kind of big, actually. This fruit is a precursor species to the grapefruit. This and something else, I can't remember what it is, that was bred together to make a pomelo. To make a grapefruit. But this is actually a more ancient variety of citrus than almost any other commercially available citrus. Until, like I said, about maybe 15, 20 years ago, they weren't even available anywhere outside of Asia. So if a lot of you have never heard of them or don't know what they are or have seen them but don't know what to do with them, that's not surprising. I remember when I was a kid, the only place I ever saw them was in the little kitchen god shrines inside the Chinese restaurants we used to go to in the San Francisco Bay Area. And I didn't know what they were. My mom just told me they were grapefruits, but even I could see they're way bigger than grapefruits, and they don't look at all like grapefruits. They sort of taste like grapefruits, but they are, in my opinion, much more delicious. My understanding is that those, that you have to have a genetic or a gene in order to taste the bitter aftertaste of an ordinary grapefruit. And if you don't have that gene, grapefruits don't taste bitter. Well, I apparently have that gene in spades because grapefruits taste just disgustingly bitter to me, unless you put a lot of salt and sweetener on them. But so when I found a pomelo and I found out that they taste very much like grapefruits, but they don't have the chemical that certain people who have that genetic predisposition to be sensitive to, there is absolutely no bitterness unless you eat part of the connective tissue or the pith. So here we go. Here we are. This is how big. Now this one is kind of big, but you remember it was like this before. This one is kind of big in the flesh. So the next thing we have to do is all of these white lines, all of that indicate where connective tissue is, and that has to go. And the easiest way I have found to do it is to start with cutting it in half. It looks very much like an orange or grapefruit in the middle, but you can see that the sections are very irregular. This is real classic for, what do I want to call, not prehistoric, but pre-agricultural forms of citrus, to have these really, really irregular sections. So just pop it apart and start in the center here. Start in the, and just peel the actual meat away from the sides. And you'll see right here, here's some of that connective tissue right here. I want you don't get too close. You can't eat that. It has the texture of like thin plastic. So once again, go from this end, work your finger under it, peel it back. Here's a good example of the membrane. It's really thick and really heavy. It has the texture of like plastic film. Right? Now, once I get to this point, sometimes it's helpful to get my paring knife. It's helpful to just cut out this center section, just like that. Just cut that out. That way, all of the little membranes are loose in here. So just peel one off, set it to the side. Now your membrane is free. Peel that back, throw that away. There you go. Peel that back, throw that away. I just realized the light's not very good in here. Hang on a sec. That should be better. And last one for this. Now this is kind of sticky. It doesn't want to open. So stick your knife down in there and wiggle it around some. Get it started. And peel off the membrane. I don't know if you can see how thick this is. It's thick enough. It's even hard to tear. It's so tough. So here's the other portion of the top half. Tear it open. Cut out the center bit. You simply cannot peel this like you could peel an orange or a grapefruit. It simply doesn't work. You're going to have a knife. And see, here's one of those funny shaped little segments. See, some of them even stick. You have to cut that off. Anyway, this is basically what you do, and you just keep going. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of trash, but oh Lord, this is the best citrus fruit. And yes, I'm not gonna try and fool you and tell you this is low carb. It isn't. But I make it a part of my eating plan because they're very special to me. They remind me of my home. They're super delicious, and fortunately for me, they're only available. Oop, there's a seed. And if you'll notice, even the seeds are kind of wonky shaped. They're shaped like little mushed flat orange seeds. You can't get a seedless variety of these. This is a ancestral, that was the word I'm looking for. This is an ancestral form of citrus fruit. Now they have been crossbreeding them to make them somewhat sweeter and to have more meat, but they're still much closer to ancestral citrus. This was one of the first citrus that we know of that's actually been consumed by human beings, because it really does, in its ancestral form, have a large proportion of meat to pith, which most other forms of ancestral citrus have a very low proportion of juicy flesh to pith. See that part right here? That has to come off. Yes, don't cut towards yourself, folks. Don't do as I do. I don't want you to be silly like me. I have cut myself doing that kind of dumb stuff, and one would think I would have learned, but you know, whatever. Maybe it's the sugar rush. I am sitting here, my mouth is watering. I'm practically drooling. I'm looking forward to this. But I planned for this PIM. I bought these pomelos yesterday, and I planned to do a video showing people how to break them down if they care to indulge. If you are going to indulge in fruit once in a while, I highly, highly, highly recommend this particular fruit. So yeah, this is on my eating plan. Carnivore or not, this is on my eating plan because I planned for it. And I'm following my food plan in this respect absolutely precisely. There we go. That's all I'm going to do right now because this has been long enough and I have other things that I have to get done today. I'm going to continue with the rest of this just like this is. And you can see it looks like grapefruit segments. And it like I said before, it sort of tastes like grapefruit, but better. I'm going to pause the video and turn my camera around upright so that you can see my face and you can see my rapturous joy as I consume the first bite of this pomelo. Hi there again. We have my lovely pomelo segments. It is tart, but it's also floral. Up the back of your throat comes a scent that's almost kind of like orange blossoms or lemon blossoms on a tree, if you've ever been around a citrus tree that's blooming. It is, like I said, tart, but it's also intensely sweet at the same time. It's incredibly refreshing. I'm really, really lucky that these are not available in the summertime because I would just want to eat them constantly. Anyway, I hope you found this informative. If you're going to indulge in some fruit every once in a while, make the effort to indulge in a pomelo or a pomelo. Some people call them pomelos. Some people call them pomelos. Some people call them pomelos. It's all the same thing. Please try one. Not too frequently because, you know, they are sugary, but you can do what you want. The important thing is that you follow your plan and you don't go wild, right? It's my absolute favorite bite of fruit of all time. I love you all. Peace, love, and meat, and the occasional pomelo. I love you all. We'll talk soon. Bye.